Hey, Triple S members, welcome again to another session of the Chow Line. We're so excited to have you. Just to remind you, the objective of the Chow Line is to create a social media platform dedicated to supporting and the prosperity of our Triple S members' businesses. Through engaging recorded fireside chats, the Chow Line will feature industry experts, members, suppliers discussing best practices, innovative strategies, and promoting this platform to foster knowledge, sharing collaborative growth, and equip members with actionable insights to enhance their operations and achieve sustainable success with the industry. And today our session is to talk about the future. The future is autonomous, and a conversation with Gaussium CEO Edward Cheng, why robotics matters for independent distribution. And I'm so excited to have Edward here, who's calling in from Shanghai. Xinyun Kuai right? Happy New Year, right? In Chinese, I'm sorry, my Chinese is terrible. So,
Never mind. Thanks.
Yeah. So, Edward, maybe you can before you start introducing yourself, let me just talk a little bit about autonomous robotics, I guess, a little bit real quickly, if you don't mind. To educate our Triple S members and independent distributors on the rapid evolution of the cleaning industry and robotics, including how the industry began. We'd love to have you share, where robotic solutions stand today, the innovations shaping the next decade. This session hopefully will help our distributors understand why robotics are becoming essential, not optional, but essential in the cleaning industry. Edward's going to provide some insights into technology, the trends, return on investment, labor challenges, and equipment reliability, and set some of the expectations what distributors should be aware of when they're looking at robotic manufacturers. And then the goal, of course, is to equip our distributors and our members with the knowledge and confidence to integrate automation solutions into their portfolio to stay competitive in this changing marketplace. So, Edward, welcome.
Thank you.
Maybe you could share a little bit about your background and education and how you got into robotics before we get into the question, if that's okay.
Okay. So I was graduated from Cambridge from 2005 to 2009 as an undergrad and postgraduates in double E major. So that was like 20 years ago. Yeah. And at that time, there was no robotic at all, actually, as a subject. We only learned something like machine learning software. Robotics was like nowhere at that time. And I started to touch like robotics after my graduation was in my first job. So I took my first job in the Shanghai World Expo. That was a big event in 2010, the World Expo Fair. It's a huge fair. It was like 70 million people visiting the fair. I'm not kidding at all, 70 million, yeah, in 6 months' time. So I was like involved in a robotic project the very first like humanoid robotics like for hospitality for hospitality purpose in all the pavilions, in different pavilions to show people around, something like that. It's a very early stage like concept, like proof of concept projects. So we made something like 30 humanoid like 15 years ago. That was a really long time ago, because now it's really something like very usual, like you see yesterday in the gala, like the TV show, like it's the robotics humanoid is so popular right now. But 15 years ago, it was really starting from nowhere. So that's where I start to know about robotics, and then we start to utilize some of the technology from that projects to put them into application. For example, SLAM. SLAM means like simultaneous localization and mapping, which allows you to make the robots move around freely. So that's where we started. So we put that technology to use that technology to commercialize. And at the very beginning, actually, we were not really making cleaning robots. We were making like SLAM modulars which means that we sell the navigation kits to different robotic companies to enable them, empower their algorithm to allow them their robots to move around as they wish. So that was the business model in the very beginning. And
Wow.
then yeah, and from 2015, which is 10 years ago, we start to run into we start to discover there's a huge market in the cleaning business actually.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Through a very coincidence occasion that we were actually invited by the Chinese airport group in Singapore, which is the very most innovative airport group in the world. And they invited us to retrofit some of their cleaning equipments to make them unmanned, from manual machine to unmanned scrubbers. So that's how we started to run into the cleaning business, and we found the market capacity is huge. So that's how we started. Yeah, that's
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
just
So
a bit about.
really, really, when you're talking about this in 2015, you've already been doing this now for quite a while, for 10 years already in the
That.
cleaning industry with Singapore Airport. Is that what I hear, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so,
Yeah.
so with robotics now in Jansan, it's as because of that, it's grown rapidly, right, over the past decade. Can you tell us, um, you shared a little bit about the history, which is great. You where you started off learning about the navigation of buildings and navigating robots and so forth. How did you determine what those gaps are in the cleaning industry, like at the Singapore airport, and how that's taken you from there now to where we are today?
Yeah, I mean, at the very beginning, there are so many challenges. I mean, because
Mm-hmm.
the robotics scrubber actually started not just 2015. It actually started much earlier.
Hmm.
It started like something. If you trace back to the very first like robotic scrubber, it could be traced back to Germany in 1998. That was the very beginning. So at that time, I think there was a company called Hafter. Hafter is a manufacturer for scrubber. They worked together with Siemens in 2000,
Uh-huh.
even before 2000, so they started a very early project during that time. So the purpose was like just to, first of all, is to replace the labor to lower the cost,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, secondly, they want to actually make more visibility about the workflow of the cleaning business. So that was the first time they come up with this idea, and it took them like a few years to make something like less than 100 machines. But then that project was stopped because that was well too early for the business to really roll out or make it like commercial. So that was the I mean very first prototype in the industry. Yeah. Then when we started like in 2015, there was still a lot. I mean gaps and challenges. Because when CAG wanted to work it out 10 years ago, the CAG aims to enhance the efficiency of the workforce, because the problem with Singapore is that their lack of labor. So they introduce a lot of labor from Indonesia, from Philippines, and this caused a lot of social problem at that time. So they want to keep the number of the labor force, like the overseas laborers. So they want to keep the numbers. They don't want too much. So that's how they started program to make efficiency enhancement to all these blue collar laborers, to make them more
Uh-huh.
efficient. Yeah. So that's how they initiate this idea. Yeah, yeah. But
So
but that was
what were
like,
some of the? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, yes, please, yes, please.
No, so what were some of those early challenges in developing the robotic cleaning machines that you saw? And then what was some of the breakthroughs that allowed that technology to really scale commercially?
Yeah, it's very challenging the very early stage, because at that time the two things was not really mature. One is the sensors, yeah, because
Hmm.
robotic needs sensor like
Right, right.
human needs ears, like to really sense the world, exactly the same. So at that time, for example, there's no 3D LiDAR at all. There's only 2D LiDAR, and the algorithm was not really that ready, especially with the
Mm-hmm.
visual camera. The algorithm based on visual SLAM, we call it, because the SLAM it can be based on LiDAR, based on the camera, So but now
I'm sorry.
everyone actually.
Can you maybe I'm a virgin to this, so can you explain SLAM a little bit better so that I understand what that really means?
Yeah, so SLAM, I mean, to make it easy, it just the robot can create the map by
Right.
itself
Okay. Yeah.
and know where to go and how to get access to the endpoint or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Yeah, so that's the basically like autonomous driving, basically. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So first of all, you need to create a map,
Right.
simultaneously with navigation, So you need a sensor input from the sensor to allow you to get information, collect information around, So you need a sensor. For
Right.
example, we call it LiDAR. LiDAR is just a laser detector, basically to measure the environment, the structure, something like texture and the structure. Yeah. At that time,
So
the
so
sensor was, yes, please.
so it's almost like you had to develop these sensors and lighting and all that to really get it up to par to be able to really do what you wanted to. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. But the sensors actually it's a very initial stage, so you don't have that much choice in the industry. But now you have so many of them. Yeah. But at that time, you have very little choice.
uh-huh.
The quality of the data wasn't really that perfect. So that was the limitation of the industry at the very beginning. So that's why a lot of people actually, if they want to make a robot, they will use a magnetic strip, put it on the
Mm.
floor somehow,
Uh-huh.
or sometimes put some like QR code on the top, to let the robot localize themselves. So that was the alternative to the SLAM technology.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so that was a challenge. But that doesn't work to it works for something like, for example, if you want to make a restaurant robot, it works. But it doesn't work for a cleaning robot because if the cleaning robot, it just like covers all everywhere in the place, so it cannot actually put magnetic strips everywhere on the floor, right?
Right. Right.
If you or there's no way you can do it, and also with the QR code, it would be too many to implement on the top. So that was the challenge in the very beginning: how to really uh, stable make a stable navigation in a very complicated scenario like airports. So
Sure.
that was a challenge. Yeah, and
Wow.
the for example, some of the competitors actually in the very early stage use the sonar sensors. Those like but these sensors are cheap, accessible, but they're not very. I mean, they're not immune to those noises, and there's a lot of problem
Mm.
with that. Anyway, yeah. So that was the biggest challenge, I think, in the very, very beginning. And also, there's a lot of like problem or challenge from the education of the
Mhm.
market, because people was not really at all for this kind of new technology, especially the cleaning industry. It's a very traditional, it's a very
Yes.
routine industry for hundreds of years. So I mean, it really a challenge to educate people. Really, you need to transfer to make transformation for business. That's also a big, a big job to do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you're talking major challenges here. You're talking technology needs that were not quite established as well as they could be. You're talking about trying to educate, a very traditional industry and something that's brand new. And actually, look, let's be realistic about it. Probably scary for people because they're concerned about their jobs, right, et
Yeah.
cetera. So with all of that now, I mean, we're now in February 2026. Where is the robotics market today? What type of facilities and industries are adopting robotics cleaning solutions more aggressively than others, or where do you see the market really exploding at?
Yeah. So that's a good question, actually. If we have heard the word, let's say, cross the chasm, because that's the process for pretty much every emerging market, or let's say every new technology. When they really run into rollouts, you need to cross the chasm. The chasm is between early adopter stage and early majority stage. So there's a gap. There's a huge
Mhm.
gap. Basically, you need to cross the chasm to rollouts. Yeah. So right now, I think in different places we're at the different stage. So, for example, in China, Europe, it's the market is something like just crossed the chasm last year. I think it's
Okay,
just
interesting.
about to be early majority stage. You know, because most of the problems, most of the education problem has been solved, in the past few years, and especially in the past 2 years. Yeah. So in the United States, I think we are still crossing the chasm at the moment, you know, especially for the education of the markets. Yeah. So I think we're gonna finish this in 2026. So after 2026, the US market will run into the early majority stage. Yeah, so that's where we are. Yeah, and thanks to the humanoids, that really helps us to
Sure.
educate them. So everyone is talking about robotics, and everyone is like not really scaring away or really concerned about it because they see it's so
Right.
capable of. Yeah, although it's not really autonomous at the moment for the human, most of the humanoids actually remote controlled. But I mean, it make people realize actually that something
It's
that the robotics
capable.
really, yeah, capable. So a lot of people actually start to looking for application for robotics, but then at the end of the day, they find out that uh, although like the robotic scrubber is the only thing, or the robotic cleaning machines, the only thing they can really roll out at the moment.
Right,
So that
right.
yeah, so that's what happened in China and also in Europe and Japan in the past 2 years. Yeah, changed
Yes.
people, blowed people's minds like in the past, especially last year, 2025.
Yeah, because I know when last year at ISSA compared to this year, I saw a lot more talk about it this year at ISSA. And matter of fact, I was just in Japan over the last couple of years, and actually just a few months ago, and noticed a lot more um, robotics in the restaurants in regarding service and so forth. And I think you're starting to see more and more that adaptation to the industry. So, with that said, it sounds like we're in the U.S. still just trying to, as you say, cross that chasm, right? To pass the early adopters.
Yep.
And so with that, labor shortages in the U.S.
Hmm.
like everywhere else is, of course, the big challenge is to try to find good labor. And that continues to impact our building service contractors and end users. With that, how are robotics helping offset these pressures, and both operationally and financially?
Yeah, basically, I think that will helps to first of all, it's augment, to the labor force. It improves efficiency of your labor force at the moment. It's not really just replace it, simply replace it, like people like think
Augment.
in the word mind. Yeah, it's actually augmentation. Let's say, yeah, because the robotics are suitable for those repetitive, let's say high frequency repetitive jobs like scrubbing, sweeping, at the moment. Yeah, without it can be very hands free on those kind of jobs. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right now, then people can the staff, janitor can still focus, have more time to focus on those high level jobs.
Mm-hmm.
For example, customer interaction or toilets, verticals, vertical cleaning, those like edge, yeah, this kind of like job. So it helps to augment the efficiency by at least like twice sometimes, or even triple the efficiency. Yeah, that's how it helps. First of all, and then it's about consistency of the results. That's really
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
say compared to, especially on those repetitive jobs, consistency is a big problem actually, and quality control, let's say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, and then it actually helps you to showcase, or let's say make the process more visible to the end user. That's really important,
Mm-hmm.
because as back to what I just mentioned in the very beginning, when the German company called Hapter started the project with Siemens, one of the ideas to provide visibility for the industry, because there's a saying that the BSC companies, cleaning company, can simply make more money by not cleaning, right? So that's that's a paradox, but that's the truth, of the industry. So the end user always have a concern about the actual uh, how much job have actually been done. This is
Right.
not visible in the past. So robotics can help to make the whole process like more visible to the end user. Yeah. So these are the few points is like that can help, at this particular at this moment, when the BSC suffers problem with the labor force and immigration problem, so
Right. Right.
yeah, no better than I.
Yeah. No. No. But you know what? I think that conversation is something that's really important for our distributors to understand, because as you can imagine, there's a lot of misconceptions and so forth. I think you talked about, augmentation. I love that. Augmentation of labor, repetitive jobs, high service level areas, consistency, quality control, and then showcasing the visibility of the cleaning. Do you have a general idea or a financial model that you utilize in saying that, hey, if you bring in this robotics here, your labor costs may save X percentage, or have you had any uh, studies on that specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a good question, because that really differs from company to company and based
Mm-hmm.
on different projects. If you're talking about retail, for example, supermarkets, like Target, those kind of like retail stores, Whole Foods, uh, you can easily like have one guy to cover two stores, which usually it needs two. So cut by 50%.
Mm-hmm.
The labor cost. That's for the retail, because the retail, like a large portion of the jobs are floor part,
Right,
the
right.
floor. Yeah. So easily you can save like more than 50% of the labor cost on each like project, on each end user, with the robotics easily. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at hospitality, or the other places, it differs, but roughly, I think, from 30% to 70% of the you know labor cost of the floor cleaning easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but
great.
still, it's kind of like a co-work. I mean, we need to realize that some of the jobs, still we need uh, the staff, the janitor, to cover some of the high value jobs together with the robots, rather than just
Sure.
simply replace everyone 100%. So that's not that's the current situation at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of the misconceptions that distributors have, or even end users might still have, about autonomous cleaning equipment?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. First of all, I think uh, many of the cleaning company, especially end users, they think it's something like hands-free, you know.
Mm.
So the robotics, you put it in the place, and they will just run as you wish, and without any, you don't need to take care of it. And actually, you do need to do servicing first of all, and do clearance, daily clearance or weekly clearance, for the machine. You need to take care of it. Like, I mean, if you look at the manual scrubbers, it's the same situation.
Right.
You need something for the manual scrubber, actually. Yeah. But when it become autonomous, and people naturally think that everything will be hands-free. So that's one of the misconception that people could easily come up with. So that really it needs training, for the end users, which is really important. And that's a challenging point
Hmm.
because janitor, they're not really fixed. The janitor, they come and go very easily. It's a
Right,
very
right.
high,
Turnover.
yeah, yeah, turnover rate is very high. So I mean, that's a challenge for a lot of the BSCs actually. Yeah. So that's one of
So
the yes.
no, no. So speaking about that, with as you just said it, one of the challenges for not only BSCs but any cleaning staff, custodial staff, is turnover and training. So, how easy is it to train someone, a new employee, on the robotics?
Yeah, so we're trying to make it easier and easier. That's why we call it cross the chasm. So crossing the chasm at the same, I mean, in another word, it means like improving the product, right?
Hmm. Okay, okay.
On one hand, you need to improve your product to make it easier to use and hands-free. And on the other hand, the market will be educated time by time. So that's why I call it like across the chasm. It's already been
Okay.
done in Europe, and we are in process in Europe, in United States right now. Yeah.
Right.
So now it takes, if I should say, after deployment, only takes something like 3 to 5 minutes, and everything is like you have the wizard to guide you through, the how to use it. It's something like one touch to go. So now it's easier and easier. Yeah, one button, one touch to run it. You don't really need to take care. The janitor doesn't really need to, worry about the how to use it. The only thing now, the difficulty right now, or the challenge right now, is how to maintain, actually, keep the
Ah,
machine
yes,
clean.
yes, yes.
Because although it's a cleaning machine, but the machine itself needs to be cleaned, you know. So it needs
Right.
to be serviced and cleaned, keep cleaned by the janitor. So that's the challenge at the moment. So, it's easy to use. You only need to touch one button through the app or through the screen on the top and of the machine, but the maintain of the machine is something like the janitor doesn't really like to do it. you know.
Right, right, right. So,
Yeah.
so
Also,
that's a great question because one of the biggest challenges I think for distributors, especially in the equipment service area, is finding service techs. And then my guess is with robotics, it's even more complicated because you've got memory and you've got the whole autonomous, machinery there. Um, so when a distributor is looking at you know equipment from a technology standpoint, what should they look for in regarding differentiating regarding quality of the robotics, service, mapping accuracy, safety systems, that kind of stuff. From I know Gauzy, you've got your own stuff, but if you were a distributor, what would you say that and from a manufacturer standpoint, that these are the important things that you should be looking for when you're looking at robotics?
first of all, I think the AI function is definitely the on the top.
Mhm.
That's how you differentiate the robotics from a manual scrubber, right? So, for example, localization, those agile, how agile it is, right? So, how safety it is, those issues that the biggest concern in the very beginning, right? Yeah, and these factors are very much based on data. So the more data you have, the more the robust your algorithm become. You know, so that's why we started like 10 years ago. We collected so much data from the our past experience, how to make the algorithm better. So that's one of the biggest like differentiator from us between us and the other robotic companies though. And then it's about portfolio. Yeah, the portfolio of the product is so important because one of so back to the last your last question, actually, one of the misconcepts is that one robot can fit to everywhere.
Mm.
It, if you look at the menu scrubbers, no matter it's Canon or Kasher, you can easily find like 20 or 30 models for the menu scrubbers, right? From sweeper to scrubber in hybrid mode, and so because they're designed for different scenarios, you know.
Hmm.
So similarly for robotics, you need at least 8 to 10 different models to cover, let's say, 90% of the scenario. Yeah, you cannot just work it out with one or two models. That's one of the important factor they need to bear in mind. Yeah, because you never know who is your end user, right? It could be a school, it could be a hotel, it can be a airport, right? So, and they have different floors. It could be car park, even airport. You have car parks, you have like carpets, you have hard floors, So it's very different scenarios you need to cover. Yeah, so that's the other point. And then it's about servicing. Yeah, as I said, like the most challenging parts for using a robot is actually about maintaining the service. Yeah, so that's so different from other robotics. So service, and especially after service network and capability is crucial actually in our business. So that's what we keep focusing on, how to work it out for our customer at the lowest cost. In the past 10 years, that's what we will endeavor in the past 10 years, to lower that cost, and make a proper and decent quality of after service. That's the key to success. So I would like that in order.
This is really interesting because, from a distributor standpoint, let's just say I'm a business owner distributor. I know that I need the product. I know I need robotics now and auto scrubbers, etc. But honestly, the AI capabilities and the technology scares me. How do I overcome that? How do I know that if I get involved with a robotic program, that I'm going to have the service availability of someone to help me out with that, or the training and education? What do you guys do to make sure that the independent distributor, the independent business owner, feels comfortable and qualified once they purchase? Because it's a big capital expenditure for them, right? And if I'm going to spend the money on it, how do I know I'm going to get the backup and the service I need, and make sure that everything's going to work as easy as possible? Because I've got to make sure that my customer's happy, right?
Yeah, that's right. So first of all, I think very important, we need to choose our partner right. Yeah, because different distributor, they have different capability of servicing. So the service will provided as a combine from the manufacturer and our distributor partners. So that's why we always try to select our partners, who are able to service first of all. So that's really important. Yeah, because the end user, if the end user have been business with a trustable partner, before, they will keep that trust first of all. So they wouldn't have that much concern anymore if they're working again with the same partner they trusted before. So that's one of the solution, as you just said, like to work it out. Yeah, so that's why we're working with Triple S, because there's so many solid partners on the Triple S, which we already find out even before we actually engage with Triple S. We find that there's quite a few like players, big players and solid players under your structure, which is really good at servicing. So that's part A. And part B is like how as a manufacturer, we need to supply the service, and support our partners and our end users on 24/7 basis, through, first of all, remote service with call, with remote service, to remote diagnostics, and also on-site support for our partner and users for those new and important benchmark projects. Yeah, so these are the very important part. And then also we have more than 10 FAEs, we call it Field Application Engineer, across the United States at the moment. And this year we're going to expand to over 25, by end of 2026, to more than double, for the after sales network to support our partners, and
Wow.
because most of the after sales service still done by our partners, so that's very important for us to how to train them in the best way and how to support them on site for those like benchmark projects. For example, if you're making a tender for an airport or for an important school zone, then definitely you will be involved. Our partner will be involved in a POC at the very beginning, and that's really important because we need to make sure that the POC actually satisfy our customer and meet their requirements, in the very beginning. So that's what we do is that normally we send our guys to on-site support, for our partners to make it secure the end results, Yeah, so that's something we're working out right now. Yeah.
Well, I would tell you, and I know that we really haven't gotten things going yet, but already just you telling me about how you're investing into more FAEs for the future of the U.S. Also, I just met most of your sales staff, which you brought on just recently to support Triple S, which is great. It shows me that you're really investing into this partnership, and we're really excited about that. So thank you very much. What as we've talked about here, just to kind of slowly wrap things up here, what innovations do you expect to shape this industry in the next few years that's going to be different, whether it be our battery technology, AI navigation, or multifunctioning? What do you see in the next couple of years that our members and distributors should start thinking about for the future?
Yep. So we can put it this way. If you have used a home robot before, it would make it more straightforward. A home robot, I mean, a Roomba, I mean, or the other brands. Now they're more and more intelligent. If you use it at your home, for example, you put a so-called Roomba like robots, at your house. It's very hands-free now. You have the working station to take care of the water discharge and with the fuel up, and also you have the working station to do the cleaning of the robot by itself. So it's pretty much like hands-free within 3 to 6 months. You don't need to take care of it. You only need to touch it like once a month, something like that. So, and you don't need to deploy, or you don't need a technician to be at your home, at your house, to really set up the robots at your house, right? It's very like drop and go, we call it. So make it easy. I would say 2 words. One is drop and go. So robotics, commercial robots need to be drop and go.
Right.
So open the box and set up easily by someone on site. So rather than a technician from our partners, can be a janitor on site, of our end users, drop and go, and then hands free. So we call it, or let's say, a monthly maintenance. So Canada only need to touch the machine or maintain the machine once every month. So that will change the game completely. Yeah.
Right.
So that's 2 directions that we're working towards at the moment. So, and very likely with around 1 year time, we'll pretty much be there.
Wow.
By next year, this time, you will pretty much see that happening.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
So that's something.
So in another year, you're saying you're going to see drop and go and hands free.
That's right.
Wow.
Monthly maintenance, we call it.
Monthly maintenance. Okay.
So the technology is like rapidly evolving rapidly, and the other sector is about vertical cleaning, because right now all the robots, all the scrubbers, they're covering flooring part only.
Right.
Is to cover, yeah. But as you see, like the humanoid technology is becoming more and more mature, so very likely in the next 2 or 3 years, you will see the vertical cleaning, for example, toilets, the wash basin.
Right.
Clean walls.
Wow.
Yeah. These parts this kind of jobs will be, the humanoids technology will be able to work it out in the next 2 or 3 years. Yeah. So that's
Wow.
to let's say, looking forward to like innovation in the future. Yeah.
How exciting. How exciting. Okay, so to wrap this up then, Edward, this has been really fascinating, but to wrap this up, why is it important for our independent distributors, our members, to begin embracing robotics now? And what's the opportunity for those adopters to gain the market as it evolves? I mean, to me, the earlier adopter that you get, the better that you start learning and preparing. But I'd kind of like to hear from you. What's so important?
Yep. I mean, it's important to start ASAP now, because robotics is not just a, let's say, tool, or let's say, it's not like the manuscript. It's a transformation of the operation. For
Mm,
example, the question you just asked, how much like dollar cents, how much costs really it can save, how many percentage, right? It's a tricky question actually, because that's very much based on how you reallocate your labor force, your jobs, the workflow. You need to reallocate the janitors, their tasks, and
mm-hmm,
also you need to transform, make, like we'll call it like operational transformation
mm-hmm.
inside of ESC, to make it happen. It's not an easy job at the moment, so it's actually takes a couple of months to 1 year to let your staff to really get used to it. For example, when we are working together with one of the biggest, actually is the biggest BSC for the retail in the United States, it takes them about 9 months,
Mm,
to really, get everything from deployments to maintenance to get it right, to be ready for rollout. It
wow.
takes time, but
Yeah.
that's the biggest BSC actually. So not everyone had that, can do that within 9 months or 6 months.
Right.
It
Right.
may take even longer. So that's why I say it will be important to start ASA, because that takes time for you to make transformation, because otherwise it will be too late when you really have to, right? Because the end user right now, they are looking for cost down, cost saving, and
Mhm.
visibility after cleaning process. So robotics is the only solution to that at the moment. Yeah, so that, or at least it's the most effective way to work that out, to make both cost saving and visibility at the same time. Yeah, so that's
Uh,
what the customer will be asking for, keep asking for in the next 1 or 2 years. They more and more. Yeah, so you have to be prepared, from now. Yeah.
well, Edward, great insights. 谢谢你. I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, you gave a lot of great information. I hope that our members heard. What I got out of it more than anything is it's really relocating the employer's task and operational transformations that they need to start working on now, because your end users are looking for cost savings, and you're the ones, our distributors, our members are the ones who have to help them do that. So the sooner that they start utilizing robotics programs can help them start that transformation process and helping their customers be prepared for the future and reducing costs. And that provides them bringing them much more value to their end users. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Happy New
Thank
Year
you.
again.
Yeah, thank you.
We're
Happy.
really excited and looking forward to this partnership. Matter of fact, I talked to the guys, and hopefully we'll get a chance to schedule a sales meeting with the whole team, and get a good start going on. But again, thank you for your time and energy. And I know it's early there in Chinese New Year, so go celebrate and have a good time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day.
All right,
Okay.
Edward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye-bye.
thank you again for joining us at another session of the Chow Line. This was, to me, an amazing session with Edward Cheng, the CEO of Gaussium. Look forward to the future of our partnership. We're just getting started with them now, so you'll be starting to see some information coming out in the near future. But again, looking forward to Seeing you guys next time, and thanks again for visiting the Chow line.